Hello, my name is Aladino. Welcome back to our channel where we are currently refitting a Cape George Cutter 36. Last week was a bit of a jumble of tasks. That's often how it goes though in reality. I fiberglassed one side of our new cockpit combings, then I dove a little bit into the big task of starting to sand the fairing on our decks, and Maya sanded the handrails, which are now installed. This week I've got three main tasks. First, I want to excavate the deck prism openings. Second, we're gonna visit Maya's dad's workshop where he's been helping us with our bowsprit.
So the bowsprit was a fun little project.
And third, I have to fiberglass the other side of the combing. Now that's probably the least exciting, so I'm gonna start with that right away to get it out of the way. The wood is sanded. I will just wipe it with acetone. I did cut the glass. What I do though now is I lay it on top again and I trim it a little closer. As this glass is heavier, it wants to lay down over time, of course, and that can cause air bubbles where you don't want them. Instead, if you trim it off, then it just lays flat on it. Everything is laid out here. These really help. Resin roller, squeezing out excess resin, getting the air bubbles out of the glass. I have a jar here full of acetone, so when I'm done with the resin roller, I throw it into the jar here, and that actually, it makes it last really long. Here, where I had the curves, there's tiny voids still, so I'll also be filling in some thickened epoxy first. I think that's about it. Let's get started. These combings are a little bit different than on traditional boats, or in a way maybe they are closer to some traditional boats. Now, the combing, how it was built originally, was not very tall already. If it was tall in a way that looks good, then I would have considered leaving it as a horseshoe, probably more, because we've been spoiled on our Vinde 32 Magic Carpet 1. It had incredibly high combings that looked really good and were really comfortable to sit against. But since these are very short, then we figured we might as well open up the space, have an open aft deck, which is going to be pretty exciting in warmer climates, to have one big platform for fishing, just to stretch out, but of course that means we don't have that backrest, which, like I said though, was pretty minimal from scratch. So that also allowed us to make some modifications. We made the storage a bit larger, the cockpit well a bit smaller, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased. It's starting to look pretty good. Lights, camera, action.
How does it look?
I think I'm pretty happy on first glance.
Great.
Yeah, already definitely much better that I have medium hardener again. Does cure a lot quicker. And no big sections lifted off or big voids. No small ones either. Tiny ones, I admit, tiny ones. Like this one, but it's okay.
Where? Point to it again. Oh.
You see? It's the, what is it, the 5 feet rule. From 5 feet away, no air bubbles at all.
I don't know if it's possible to get 5 feet away in this cockpit.
Well, yeah. Cool. So next, I'm gonna flip it over. And now it's the cleaning up part. But yeah, happy how this turned out.
trees they are singing to the tune of a song, and the wind is gently ringing the bell that brings the morning, the welcome of the dawn.
I'm happy how this is progressing. Very soon I can actually install them so that we can move on with some more fairing, priming, and ultimately paint. But meanwhile, I'm gonna shift my attention to something else.
The call of the dove, the red leaves are falling, the barn owl is calling, the welcome of the dawn.
All right, here we are at the bow of the boat, and the mission here is to excavate openings that we made in the past for the prisms. The thing is that when we left the boat, of course, we put fairing compound over everything, but now I have to dig in a little bit again to unveil it. And I've actually done so already on port, so you can see what I mean. Like some of you might know, I've done some previous work on the opening where I've glassed the perimeter, so there is no actual plywood in touch if there was a leak. And I'm doing this now because I want to prime and paint all the edges as well. I'll just be approaching very slowly until I can see some tape that I've set down marking the perimeter, and then I'll place this one over top of the perimeter to actually mark where the fitting is located. Right now I don't see it, so yeah, and then just go from there and excavate.
They are singing to the tune of a song, is gently ringing the bell that brings the morning, welcome of the dawn.
Deck prisms are basically bricks of glass, but in prism shape. Light can come in and it gets broken by the prism to get reflected into the interior. So our boat had two over the V-berth, and so even though one was broken, we ordered new ones. They're a bit of a different design, but we decided to install prisms again.
Daylight is calling, welcome of the dawn.
All right, here we go. Layer number one is gone. Who would have thought I put duct tape down? I didn't remember that. Now I'll peel the duct tape off, clean it up a little bit, and do a little final sanding. Oh, a little bit of water came in, but the fiberglass seems to be doing its thing. And finding water here now didn't pose any problems because I have, like I said, fiberglass the perimeter of the plywood, but I did so by creating like a fiberglass well. And since we're not ready to install the prisms yet, I have not made the cutout that allows us to insert the glass. Some concerns about deck prisms is of course that it's another opening which could cause a leak. The benefits of prisms are of course having a bit of ambient light down below or more light, and they look really good. So to try to mitigate some of the problems regarding leaks, first of all we went with a design of prism which is has a bronze frame, and then the glass is let into that. The original ones that came with the boat, it was the glass bedded directly onto the plywood decks. So if there is a leak, or if you have to rebed them or reinstall them every time you are digging at your plywood decks again. So instead now here we're going to install bronze frames, and then the glass is let into the frame like I said. So already the design is nicer, and since we went to the effort of taking things apart and rebuild them, I also like to fiberglass the perimeter of the plywood before installing the bronze frame onto it. All right, this went well. It is now mostly excavated. I have to do just a little bit more of cleaning up, but this fits, and of course this is the portion that I have to still cut out because that's where the glass goes through. Yeah. Some of you might recognize where we are. This is Maya's parents' place, and it is our beloved place for some rest and also for some specialized projects. They have very generously been housing the Bowsprit for us here, amongst with many other things. And every now and then when we come over, I have done a little work on the Bowsprit. And I don't think we have documented much of it, but that's why I am bringing you up to speed now of what has happened. So the biggest thing that has happened was a repair to the top of the Bowsprit. The top was quite weathered, it had a crack in it, it had some rot. So I have taken off about a third from the top. I did a bunch of cuts with a circular saw, hammered down all the little pieces, and then took a hand plane to it to make it all flat. And then we glued on a new board onto it. So that's what you can see here now. Almost ready for some varnish. So it has progressed quite nicely. I have shaped it all again, and Brian has helped with a lot of that. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, the Bowsprit was a fun little project. Deanie put a lot of work into it. I helped him along a little bit, put this new top piece on, which is a nice piece of KD Douglas fir. It looks fabulous now. It's going to be nice and strong again, and it's going to be a really nice addition to the pointy end of the boat and a fabulous spot to go and watch the bow wave and watch the dolphins playing in the bow wave and anything else that might be happening up there. Watching the sails, be a great spot.
Yeah, and just yesterday I used the drill press to put some holes back in. These will house some threaded rod that actually clamp the teak platform onto the Bowsprit. It kind of has these two ears. Well, they're right here. I guess I can show one. They're still a bit weathered, but that's the next project, is to sand them, sand the varnish off and make them look nice again. But these are the side ears, the teak platform. But yeah, for now it's time to load it onto the roof racks of our truck and bring it to the boatyard.
Hi ho, hi ho.
Starboard or port?
You go port.
Quite a bit of thought has happened around the Bowsprit. When we were not on the boat, when we were sailing in Sweden, that's often when I think about projects. And at one point I was thinking of building an aluminum Bowsprit, and in different ways. First I thought just copy exactly what we have. Then I also thought of an A-frame, which wouldn't look as pretty, but I really liked the idea of minimizing maintenance. Now we got back and I haven't really come up with plans or sourced any material, so the quickest is to recycle what we have. Wooden bowsprits also last a really long time if you look well after them. So ultimately I decided to go for what would be the quickest repair by using the old one. How much is a fathom? It's almost a meter,
Arm span.
right? Yeah.
No,
Oh, then that's more than a
2
meter.
meters.
6 fathoms, you said?
Yeah, so, yeah.
How much is a fathom? A meter and a half then, about?
6 feet.
Oh, 6 feet. Oh, I'm doing way more though. 6 wingspans is 6 feet? That's not 1 fathom though we have there now.
1 fathom is 6 feet.
Yes, and you said you want how many feet?
6.
Oh.
No, 6 fathoms. So
Okay.
there's 6 wingspans.
Okay, I didn't do that. Anyway.
Well, what do you want me to say?
Expert. Another expert.
What do you want me to say?
No expert. Glad it's on the car and ready to go. I've learned some wonderful lashing techniques. I'm sure one to have trusted ratchet straps more, but you don't need those if you know how to tie something properly.
Well, it's always nice to have them here, and having the bowsprit in the workshop was a fun little project. It's always fun playing with boats, and I enjoyed having the bowsprit here and playing with that. It's also nice to have my workshop back to myself again.
Fair enough.
No, it hasn't been a problem. The bowsprit was stored in a nice place, and we just moved it into the workshop when we needed work. It was good fun.
Didn't take as much space as when I built the dinghy, did it? Yeah.
No, not at all.
Totally. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Many of you are certainly familiar with the story of Kirsten Neuschafer. She participated in the Golden Globe race of 2023 and won the race. And so I'm learning a lot from her journey as well, even though we're not going to do a non-stop single-handed race. Towards the very end, she was having a bit of issues with the bowsprit, so I also looked into that. And we believe the reason to be that because she had twin head sails pulled out on either side, when you get wind into them, they can pump the forestay, so to speak, because they get filled and then you have a little moment of slack. But instead there is the opposing force of the bobstay, which pulls the bowsprit down. And when there is that little moment of slack in the forestay, then the bobstay would pull a little more. And that caused the cran's iron to start being knocked off position slightly. Now she made it back, and it still took a lot of effort to actually get the cran's iron out of place. But yeah, so I think we're going to be fine as well, because we're not going to go with this twin head sail scenario right now. So yeah, that's basically all to say that just all is good. Okay, I'm happy to say that I've completed the 3 tasks, and also very happy to have spent a couple of days at Maya's parents' home. It's always good to get some rest and feels like a little holiday, so that was lots of fun. Next week, I think I'm going to do something a bit drastic. It's time to put some primer on the boat. As usual, there's a few things to prepare though, so we'll tell you the story as it unfolds next week. Thank you for watching, and huge thanks to our folks over on Patreon for supporting and making sure that we can keep producing these videos. And an extra big thanks to the names now appearing on the screen. We'll see you all next Friday.
This week I've got 3 main tasks.
This week I've got 3 main tasks.
Main.
Oh, main. That's it. I was like, what word is that? Mean tasks. This week I've got 3 mean tasks.
No.
Oh. This week I've got 3 main tasks.